We've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement.
Peace talks between the United States and Iran have officially failed, but what really happened behind closed doors in Pakistan? And why is this failure more dangerous than it seems? According to U.S. Vice President JD Vance, the high-stakes negotiations between the United States and Iran did not result in any agreement, despite intense discussions that had raised hopes for a breakthrough.
But the simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations.
These talks were taking place in Pakistan, which had stepped in as a mediator, trying to bring both sides closer and reduce tensions. But even with that effort, no final deal could be reached, and now uncertainty is growing again. The main reason behind this breakdown appears to be the issue of nuclear weapons, as JD Vance clearly stated that the United States needs a firm and undeniable commitment from Iran that it will not develop nuclear weapons and will not even pursue the tools or technologies that could allow it to build one in the future, making this a non-negotiable condition from a U.S. perspective. However, Iran sees the situation very differently, as its foreign ministry described the talks as intensive and serious, but at the same time accused the United States of making excessive and unlawful demands, suggesting that while Iran may be open to dialogue, it is not willing to accept conditions that it considers unfair or imposed under pressure. This difference in expectations has created a deadlock, where both sides are standing firm on their positions, making it extremely difficult to move forward. Pakistan's role in all of this is also significant, as it highlights how the country is emerging as an important diplomatic bridge between global powers that do not trust each other, attempting to create space for dialogue even in highly sensitive situations. At the center of the conflict is the nuclear issue, which remains one of the most critical concerns for global security, as the United States fears that if Iran develops nuclear capabilities, it could shift the balance of power in the Middle East and potentially trigger a larger regional or even global crisis. Which is why the U.S. is not only focused on stopping nuclear weapons themselves, but also on preventing access to the tools, technologies, and enrichment capabilities that could make such weapons possible in the future. This makes the negotiations extremely complex, because what one side sees as security, the other may see as restriction or control. The consequences of these failed talks go far beyond just the United States and Iran, as rising tensions could directly impact global oil supply, destabilize the Middle East, and disrupt key international trade routes, all of which could have serious economic and political effects worldwide. That is why this situation is being closely watched by countries around the world, as even a small escalation could lead to much bigger consequences. Looking ahead, the future remains uncertain, with only a few possible paths. The talks could resume in an attempt to find common ground, pressure could increase through sanctions or political moves, or in the worst-case scenario, tensions could escalate toward open conflict. Right now, nothing is guaranteed, and that uncertainty is what makes this moment so critical. So the real question is, was this simply a temporary setback in negotiations, or is it the beginning of a much larger global crisis that could reshape the balance of power in the world?